So here we have done so far the explanation of the chapter till the couple, Mr. Sadao and Hana, both were able to see that someone was catapulted out of the ocean, thrown out of the ocean, and first he climbed up, okay, crouching up, okay, and eventually fell on his face down. And Hana cried, okay, to see such a bizarre sight out of her eyes. And now she was, and obviously her husband Sadao, both were all set to see who the person, okay, came out of the ocean. So far we have done the preliminary part of the chapters contained, that Dr. Sadao's house was situated where? Okay, first thing. Second, what was the chief ambition of Sadao's father and what he did for that? Third one, okay, why was Sadao not sent to the battlefield with his Japanese troops? And then will come Professor Harley's house description, that the rooms were smaller, the food was bad, and the wife was too much voluble. They are in a casual condition. Actually, he met his wife Hana over there. Then comes the character sketch of Sadao's father. He was a staunch Japanese. He was a staunch, S-T-A-U-N-C-H, staunch Japanese, what you can say, hardcore Japanese, a traditional Japanese. He was a true Jap. He was a true Jap there, first thing. Second thing, he was a bit conventional, traditional, but orthodox also, because he carried out the marriage of wedding of Dr. Sadao with Hana, okay, in old Japanese manner. And second, which is more important, that he had not approved Sadao to get married or doubled or hitched with Hana if she wasn't pure Japanese. So yes, it was quite evident that he was what you can say, traditional, conventional, staunch Japanese who believed in the rich culture and the heritage of the country Japan by all means. Here we start the chapter, okay, from we left yesterday. Now he must be badly torn. That was the last thing, because he was wounded, and because the place where he was finding himself, that place, the beach, was spiked with sharp sea rocks. Or if he would have come among them, obviously he would have injured. A lot of bruises will be there all over his body. That is called badly torn. They saw when they came toward him, and then indeed it was so. It means when they went close to that injured man, they found that he really was badly torn, as per their assumption. The sand on one side of him had already a stain, a dot, a blot. Stain, a dot or a blot, means he was lying his face down. So one part, okay, one side of his body we could see, means Hana and Sadao could see that some part of the sand soaked with red color. Why the some part of the sand soaked with the red color? Because the wound which was there on that particular injured man or POW's body or that man's body, okay, obviously the pure blood was gushing out, okay, of his body, and that had colored the sand in the red one, and that indeed the sand on one side him had already stain of red soaking through there, went into it there. So now the blood had entered into the sand, and that in return got the color of the sand in reddish. He is wounded, Sadao exclaimed, and by watching at the body, injured body, tormented body of Mr. Unknown Fellow, the POW here, a sailor from the American warship, prisoner of war, okay, he deduced that being a surgeon, he could easily see that the man was terribly wounded. He made haste to the man, And the moment he came to know that man was terribly wounded, he went to that particular man very quickly, very fast, as in a hurry. He went to him. To him, he is wounded. And he made haste to the man who lay motionless. The man, who came out of the ocean, who was catapulted out of ocean, thrown out of the ocean, was lying motionlessly. No movement was there. Maybe the excessive loss of the blood might have taken all the energy of the man. Even he may not be that much conscious at the time either. Motionless, absolutely no movement was there. Stagnant body it was there. Immobilized his body was. His face in the sand, because he was lying face down, so his face was still buried in the sand. An old cap stuck to his head, soaked with sea water. An old cap which was there on his head also was soaked with the saline water, the sea water, the salty water. To his head soaked with the sea water, saline water, sea water. He was in wet rags of garments. Obviously, he was a soldier, perhaps. So the outfit which he wore was terribly torn and worn out. So thou stopped Hannah at his side and turned the man's head. They saw the face, and ultimately Hannah and Sadao, both who were examined who the person was, eventually got the body of that particular injured man aside, so that they could see the man. And then they, after turning the body of Mr. POW, they started watching the face of that particular man. A white man, Hannah whispered. And the moment Hannah came to know that the person who was thrown out of the ocean at their doorstep happens to be a white man, so the disgust, feeling of disdain, feeling of in a scornful tone, she said, exclaimed, "Oh my God, a white man!" She didn't like it. Feelings of disdain could be seen on the face of Hannah when she came to know that the man was a white one. "White man," she whispered. Yes, it was a white man. The wet cap fell away, and there was his wet yellow hair, long as they for many weeks it had not been cut, and upon his young and tormented face was a rough yellow beard, and he was unconscious and knew nothing what they were doing for him or that they did for him. And the moment they got the body turned, the cap which was there fell down, and the moment the cap was removed out of his head, they were able to see the blonde hair, the yellow hair. And because he was a POW, was running, escaping the Japanese Navy people there, therefore he might not have got the time to trim his hair, to trim his beard. So yes, they were ruggedly, hair were grown up there, and obviously he didn't take a bath for a 5 to 7 days time, so they were looking rough absolutely there. So they deduced that the man had not cut his hair for a long period of time, and he even didn't change his outfit also. With sea water and cap fell away for many weeks, it had not been cut. Therefore, lot of hair were grown here and there. Many weeks he may be escaping the Japanese naval officers. Rough yellow beard, he was unconscious, and obviously he was unconscious. He was not at his best of the conscience there. He was not conscious. He was still faint, absolutely faint. Nothing at the end, because he was faint, he was unconscious. What help, whatever maneuvers, whatever efforts, whatever help, whatever assistance being given by Dr. Sadao and Hannah, for him, he was totally unaware of that particular thing. Why? Because he was faint, he was unconscious at that moment. Did for him. Now Sadao remembered the wound, and eventually Surgeon Sadao remembered of the wound, because he could see that the blood was coming out of his body, because it had colored the sand into a red one. So he knew there was some serious wound maybe there on his body. So his expert eyes started searching the origin of the bleeding, and what he found, and with his expert fingers he began to search for it. Blood flowed freshly at his touch on the right side of his lower back. Sadao saw that a gun wound had been reopened. When he was trying to search the source of that profuse bleeding, eventually his expert finger searched the source of the profuse bleeding, but unfortunately the moment his finger touched the source of the bleeding, okay, it's obviously reopened the wound. It means the bleeding, the fresh bleeding started again after Dr. Sadao touched the source of the wound. Sadao saw that a gun wound had been reopened. A gun wound, and the expert finger, the excelled Dr. Sadao deduced that it was a gunshot. It means on his right side lower back, it was a gunshot, and a bullet was still there inside of his body, and that was causing an enormous bleeding out of his right side lower back. He examined that thing or came to the conclusion after that. The flesh was blackened with powder, and the flesh which was deposited around the wound, it obviously was black and was having some powder. Powder is an indicator that the bullet, when bullet entered into his body, it might have left some powder at the entrance. That is called gunpowder. The powder of the bullet, when it was entering into his body, is called gunpowder, was still deposited at the entrance of the wound. That was confirmation that a bullet was still there at his right side lower back, the source of profuse bleeding. And the flesh was blackened with powder. Sometime, not many days ago, the man had been shot, and even he came to the confirmation assurance. Being a surgeon, his trained fingers or his experienced eyes could easily deduce what has happened. So according to Dr. Sadao, few days, not more than that, 5 to 7 days before, this man might have been shot, okay, by the Japanese naval officers. And after he got a shot of a bullet, he was not tended, looked after. Otherwise, he could have got some sort of energy back. His condition would be much more better than what it is right now. Because he was not looked after having a shot, therefore his condition is so miserable, so pathetic. Tended, it was bad chance that the rock had struck in the wound, and to add fuel to fire, to increase the problem for this POW, the wounded man here, the unconscious man, after getting shot from the Japanese naval officer, he might have jumped into the sea, or when he was coming out of the sea at the beach where Sadao's house was situated, that beach was spiked with, replete with a lot of sharp sea rocks, and that wound became more clinical, more critical after getting stuck to those sharp sea rocks spiked there, available there at the sea beach, from where he was thrown out of the ocean. Okay, now Sadao remembered the wound, and with his expert fingers not man let go, and the rock had stuck. Okay, oh, how he is bleeding, Hannah whispered again in a solemn voice, and seeing the profuse bleeding coming out of right side lower back of Mr. Soldier, that unconscious man, she was too bit worried and said, "Oh my God, he's bleeding profusely, he's bleeding profusely." Now, he's bleeding profusely. Hannah whispered again in a solemn, very serious voice, in a grave tone. She said, "Oh my God, Sadao, he's bleeding. The mist screamed, and because the conditions were foggy, the conditions were hazy, and now the fog which was there, now it hid, screened, hid, covered, screened, hid, covered, all three of them. Now completely, and at this time of the day, no one came by. And this was the evening hours, twilight time there. So Hannah and Sadao knew that was the time, when there won't be a person at the sea beach. Means the author wanted to say they were looking after a white man, an American, who happens to be a mortal enemy of all Japanese. When they will be giving that some sort of medical assistance or some sort of help, they will not be seen by any other person, because the time was of twilight, after evening time. people, the fishermen or the sailors, might have gone home. So nobody will be able to see Sadao Hana helping an American. This is the meaning, huh? Oh, no one can by. The fishermen had gone home, and even the chance of beachcombers would have considered the day at an end there. And fishermen might have called it a day. They might have gone home, and the beachcombers are those people who pick up those rough things, those what can say discarded things they collect from the sea beach there. Rag pickers, we can call it. Rag pickers at the sea beach is called beachcombers. Even for beachcombers also, that day was almost done with. So neither beachcombers, rag pickers at the sea beach will be there, nor the fisherman. It means they will remain unobserved by the people, huh? And would have at the end, what shall we do with this man? And now the big question was there before them. What is to be done? Now it was confirmed that he was a white man, he was an American, and all Americans were their enemies. Second World War going on, and it was quite evident that he happens to be their enemy. Now there were three ways. There were three options. Now Sadao got stuck in a dilemma, in a conflict. What to do? What was the best thing they could do at that moment? Happens to be an enemy. Could have reported the matter to the police or the army and handed over straight off. What actually they did? Check it out. What shall we do with this man? Sadao murmured, whispered. But his trained hands seemed of their own will to be doing what they could do. Stench the fearful bleeding. Stop. Stench. Stop. Though verbally he was speaking, and sharing his views with Hana, that Hana, what we should do in this case. But his expert fingers were doing what they ought to. His fingers were trying to stop the profuse bleeding which was coming out of his right side lower back. So that shows the commitment towards your profession there. Commitment towards towards humanity. Kindness is the best virtue. Kindness is the best virtue. There are times in our life when we are supposed to make some difficult choices. This was the moment for Sadao to confront the same scenario, the same time. Started out up there. After that, what happened? The wind with the sea moss and that stewed the beach. The man moaned with pain and his stupor, but he didn't awaken. Now, you see, they were at the sea beach, so it was not facilitated time for Dr. Sadao that he has got all the apparatus, all the weapons, all the instruments of his medical bag was there with him. No. So some temporary stuff he was supposed to do. How to stop the bleeding there only. After he will be taken, that man will be taken to his home, that he will be having many options how to stop the bleeding. But at that moment, instantly, if he wanted to stop the bleeding, how he should do that? And what he did, he just would, in order to stop the bleeding from the wound, the sea moss, a sea plant which was grown at the sea beach, grown there, scattered there at the beach. He just plucked them up, uprooted them up, snatched it up in his hand. He just plugged some of the sea moss which were grown here and there at the sea beach, and he put the sea moss on the wound. So sea moss he plugged and he put as a makeshift arrangement on the wound so that bleeding can be stopped. And the moment the wound was touched again by Dr. Sadao, that was a painful experience for Mr. POW, and the man moaned, started murmuring, started mumbling, started speaking some words out of pain. Moaning, when somebody speaks something out of pain, in pain if the person speaks, that is called moaning. With pain in his stupor, unconscious state. Stupor in unconscious state, but he did not awaken, but still remain unconscious. The best thing that we could do would be to put him back into the sea. Sadao said, answering himself. And now, although his expert fingers were trying their level best to stop the profuse bleeding of the man who was lying motionlessly and consciously there under his hand, but his mind was telling or giving some different signal that the best thing what they should do, in this particular case, that he thought the best thing they could do, put him back into the ocean. Let the POW be again push into the ocean, throw back into the ocean, so there won't be any trouble. For the couple, Sadao and Hana. He said to himself, answering himself, and to be put into the Sadao said, answering himself. Now that the bleeding was stopped for the moment, he stood up and dusted the sand from his hands. Now the first initial part of the medical assistance was over. The sea moss which he plugged, he put on the wound, now has done the trick for him, and now bleeding had stopped. And after the bleeding had stopped, the first thing was over, the first needed thing was over. Then he rose on his feet and he dusted his hands and started thinking the next step, what is to be done next, Yes, undoubtedly, that would be the best. Hana said seriously. Yes. So now, if you are thinking that throwing him back to the ocean is the best solution in this condition, I support your answer. I support your thought. So Hana, throughout the chapter, we will witness she was a very caring, she was a very dedicated, she was a very committed, she was very obedient wife. Whatever decision taken by Sadao, she was always abided by that, and she always supported that particular thing. Not all the people of the world are lucky enough like Dr. Sadao. Now that the bleeding was stopped there, Hana said steadily, but she continued to stare down at the motionless man. She also wanted the same, that the POW must be thrown back into the ocean. She was speaking, but her eyes were fixed at the unconscious body of the POW. If we sheltered a white man in our house, we should be arrested, and if we turned him over as a prisoner, he would certainly die. So that was said. Now they started reassessing their decision, whether it was all correct to throw him back into the ocean, or some other way is also left for them to be done in the case of this POW. So they were discussing between them that if they throw back the man into the ocean, he will be no more. But if they hand him over to the police or to the army, obviously, what is the order of the day? For the POW, that hangs till death. So death was inevitable for POW in the case if he is thrown back into the ocean, or whether he is handed over to the army or the police. Hana, motionlessly we should, prisoner, he would certainly die. So thou said, the kindest thing would be to put him back into the sea. The most appropriate thing, eventually they decided, let him put back into the place from where he has come. That is, throw him back into the ocean. Both of them bilaterally decided. The kindest thing would be put him back into the ocean, Hana said, but neither of them moved. They were staring with a curious repulsion upon the inert, absolutely stagnant, almost dead, absolutely unmoving figure, that injured man. Figure here, the injured man body. Repulsion here, the strong bitter feelings about someone is called repulsion there. So both of them wanted that this man should be thrown back into the ocean, but none of them wanted to touch that unconscious body of the POW. Americans happened to be their enemies, or they hated their touch. All Japanese hated the touch of the American. Therefore, they wanted to throw him back in the ocean, but none of them wanted to touch, and none of them really moved ahead to touch the body and throw him back into the ocean. If we sheltered a man or the house, we should be arrested, and if we turn him over to the prisoner, he would certainly die. Or they were thinking about the option, if they shelter him at their home, obviously it is a biggest treachery with the nation. It is the sheer breaching of the faithfulness towards their nation. It is the sheer disloyalty towards your nation, and they will be called traitor. They will be called traitor. They will be called treason. They will be called treason. Disloyal people to the country. The biggest offense, the biggest crime for a citizen to be called a traitor in their own country. But neither of them moved. They were staring, they were gazing at the curious repulsion upon the inner figure. Both were giving a discerning look. Their eyes were cold upon the figure which was not moving. Inert, absolute, like a statue. Dead, almost dead. Inert figure. What is he? Hannah whispered. There is something about him that looks American. Though he is a white man, they knew, but confirmed was whether he was American or not, there was still a doubt in their mind. What is he? Means whether he is an American or a fellow from Germany, France, or other parts, other place or other country. Hannah, I think, whispered. There is something about him that looks American. Sadao said. He took up the battered cap, the torn cap, battered the old worn torn cap. To see who the man lying in front of them. Yes, there almost gone was the font, very dim. Letterings, the letters written on it and carved on it. A sailor, he said, from an American warship. He spelled it out, U.S. Navy. The man was a prisoner of war, P.O.W. Prisoner of war, P.O.W. Prisoner of war, P.O.W. And the doubt all was cleared the moment the doctor Sadao took the torn cap in his hand, and though dim letters were there, because for last 5 or 7 years he had been in the ocean, in and out of the ocean, so letters were not that much clear on the cap, but they were still clear enough to be read, to be assessed, to be observed, to be understood. That they went with, it had got the letters and carved on it, U.S. Navy, and U.S. Navy confirmed that he was a sailor from the American warship, and he was a POW for the country, Japan. Once captured by the Japanese Navy, but after some time he was able to escape from that. That is called POW. That is called POW. And after that, he spelled it out, U.S. Navy. The man was a prisoner of war. He has escaped, Hannah cried softly, and that is why he is wounded. And after, we see when we talk about the abduction of the enemy, in the hands of the rival, obviously, lot of tormentation, physical and mental, tormentation or the torture given to the abducted man, to the prisoner of war, and that was quite evident on his body, that once captured by the Japanese Navy, given lot of physical and mental tormentation that were quite evident on his body from top to bottom. Hannah whispered, must be a prisoner of war, and he is seriously wounded. Hannah also whispered that. In the back, Sadao agreed. He has escaped, Hannah. And Sadao completed the statement that he is wounded, especially from the right side lower back, where he has got a gunshot. A bullet was still there inside of it. He has escaped, Hannah cried softly, and he is wounded. In the back, he is wounded. Sadao completed this the sentence. They hesitated, both of them hesitated to touch and to lift and throw him into the sea again. To put him back into the sea, if I am able, are you? Sadao asked. If I am able to carry the body, I would have done that. Hannah, are you able to help me out? Are you able to get the body of this POW and throw him into the ocean? Are you able doing that? Sadao asked. No, Hannah said. But if you can do it alone. No, Hannah said, no, I won't touch the body of this POW. But Sadao, if you can alone do this thing, you are free to do that. Don't ask my help in doing so. Sadao hesitated again. Even Sadao didn't want to touch the body of Mr. POW. There may be some other reason there. Being a surgeon, who knows, he wanted to save the life of this POW. hesitated again. The strange thing is, he said, that if the man were whole, completely, healthy, here whole, healthy, it means the man was torn, the man was badly tormented, his body was not full, his body was not whole, complete, it was not complete, his body was incomplete, because from many places of the many organs he was terribly tormented and tortured. So if the man would have been whole, if he would have been an healthy fellow, then I could turn him over to the police without any difficulty, without any dilemma, without any single thought. Had it been a healthy fellow in front of me, the POW, I would have handed over to the police instantly. I care nothing for him. If he has been as a healthy person, there was no sympathy in my heart for him. He is my enemy. All Americans are my enemy, Sadao continues. Okay, and he is only a common fellow for me, like every other American. You see how stupid, how foolish his face is. That is the real feelings. The feeling of jealousy or the enmity came out. Every Japanese thinks all Americans a foolish fellow, a fool, a stupid, a nitwit, an nincompoop. Okay, foolish his face, but since he is wounded, I don't want to hand him over to the police. Complete the sentence. Since he is wounded, I don't want to hand him over to the police. Before I do that thing, I want to treat him. This is the meaning of that ... You also cannot throw him back into the ocean, Anna said. Then there is only one thing to do. We must carry him into the house. But the servant, Sadao, inquired. Now, Anna said that if you are not able to hand him over to the police, since he is badly wounded, then only one thing left, one option left. Let him carry back into the home. We must cure him, or once he gets well, okay, we'll hand over to the police. Anna said that, but Sadao said, what about the servants? Now, the story is moving a bit deeper. Dr. Sadao had got 3 servants at his home. First was old gardener, second was the cook, and third was the babysitter, the maid servant Yumi. And what will be, because all 3 were Japanese, all 3 servants were Japanese, and what they will be thinking, wartime going on, and their masters, their owner, decided to help their enemy. Oh my God, obnoxious. They won't like it. They inquired. Sadao inquired. Okay. Great thought, Hana, that we should take him back into the home to treat him, to cure him. But what about our servants? What they will be thinking? You're not there? Okay, tomorrow we'll be marching ahead after. Thank you. Listen to it carefully. Okay, watch it carefully. Thanks.